Hi, welcome to our next episode of What's Going On in My Transition. Mainly today I want to talk about the important fact that one size does not fit all. In effect, students are each individual and therefore each individual in their needs in particular situations. There's certain aspects of a transition plan that you want to make sure you have correct. First and foremost is you want age-appropriate assessments. Now, these are going to deal primarily with the student's abilities, academics, personality, and then, of course, what actually interests them in the long run as to what they want to do for a living. Primarily, what you're doing with involvement in the plan at the second juncture is you're dealing with what they call post-secondary goals, or PSGs, as they say among the professionals. This post-secondary goal, you have to also remember, has to be relatively specific as to a certain outcome. You don't want to use words like will. You want to use words like will, but you don't want to use words like should, or will endeavor to, or will explore, or apply, things of this nature. Those are words that deal more with process and not specific goals. So you're going to want to use the word will, and when you're coming to describe a particular outcome, you don't want to use single words like nurse, nursing, military, computer, things like that. You don't want to say that. If the child, for example, wants to become a cosmologist and study the cosmos, the universe, you don't want to use a term like just astronomer or astronomy. You want to use a specific terminology like student will seek PhD in physics, leading to employment as a cosmologist. So that's a high-end example, but it's specific nonetheless. Another aspect that you want to look forward to is that for the students are going to need certain specific needs and support services. Now, some students are not going to have the cognitive or academic ability to necessarily be involved directly in gainful employment. That, however, does not mean the transition ends at that point. Rather than give up on that, you then replace those goals with important daily living skill goals. And of course, the IEP also has to strongly emphasize personal care and independent living skills as well. Also, you want to be sure to indicate the particular specific support services that a student is receiving. For example, for a child that is in the learning disabled or perhaps mildly disabled category, they're of course going to need reasonable accommodations on their coursework in vocational or college. The higher up in the spectrum, such as in autism or in certain cases of orthopedic or developmental disabilities, the child's going to need more support services, which are going to include OT, speech, behavioral interventions, things of this nature. For students that are classified with emotional disturbance, you're going to have to make references to specific mental health issues, certain mental health supports, counseling services, behavioral interventions as well, things of that nature. But to be sure, these are all spelled out in the transition plan, because the transition plan is what goes with the child into the next phase of their experience in life. One aspect that is very, very important to remember is also the interrelation that you're going to have to start developing between agencies. You're no longer going to be just dealing with the school district. You're going to be dealing with regional center, Department of Rehabilitation, a particular school, or vocational center where the child's going to be continuing their training. And you want to be able to have an interrelation between all these people so that they're all talking to each other, so that you have a coordination of services. That's extremely important. And that is where the parents really have to step up to the plate and become the case manager for that